Today we'll be answering some of the questions that you all may have had, and obviously this will be the, in a way, last class before the CIA. In the sense, you have two classes. As we said, Friday we'll clarify doubts. For tomorrow's class, if still you have certain questions, okay, you can WhatsApp me so that we can take it up during tomorrow's class. Okay, so but that won't be included for the CIA. That would, tomorrow's class, whatever we do, will just be for your general knowledge. Okay, or we may have some questions for discussion. Okay, so before we begin, when you look at this picture, what comes to your mind? Okay? Okay, nuns. Anything else? Okay. Okay, kind of a pilgrimage. Something, mouths covered. Okay. Yes, you can see the broom here. Okay. Now, monks, okay. Okay, one by one. Okay, renunciation. Okay, good. Okay, poverty, all that will come in renunciation. Discipline. Okay, still we have not reached the point. Okay, now at least you have seen three different images now. Now at least some idea what are we talking about, or what is common? Practice, okay. Anything else? Somebody said sects. Okay. So today we'll take a look at the sects in Jainism. Okay. There are two sects, main sects, and there are also many sub-sects in Jainism. So we'll take a look at these in a little bit more detail. So as we know, there are two main sects. You have the Digambara sect and the Śvētāmbara sect. Now it is said that over the period of time, Jainism also split into several sects. Okay, and each had its own interpretations, practices and traditions. So let's take a look at these one by one. So Digambara sect. So are you all familiar with this? Okay, so what idea do you already have about this? Let's begin with that. Okay, they don't wear clothes. Okay. Anything else? So first and foremost, we see that the term Digambara, it means sky clad, or in other words, the sky is the one that covers. Okay, so the clothes are the sky, hence they don't wear any clothes. So it is said that monks of this particular sect practice nudity as a symbol of renunciation. And also we see that this particular sect will have extreme asceticism and also they follow strict interpretation of the Jain teachings. Okay, so before we move on, can anyone tell why do you think the practice of not wearing clothes is significant here? Do you think there is any particular reason why they do not wear clothes? The monks of this sect, why the monks do not wear clothes? Is there any particular reason, do you think? Okay, one is, we can say, detachment. Good. Any other? One with nature. Okay, so also in a way we can speak about non-violence, in the sense that in making any fabric there is some kind of organism or plant that is being used. Okay, good. Anything else can you think about?
Purification.
Okay, purification. So spiritual purification. Okay, so these could be some of the reasons. So let's take a look at some more reasons. Okay, so first we see is complete renunciation. So the Digambara monks believe that complete renunciation is possible only when you have abandonment of material possessions as well as breaking free from attachments. Okay, so abandonment from material possessions like clothing, and in a way you detach yourself from the material world. Now they feel that these two, this whole abandonment, is very important for spiritual liberation. Because by shedding clothes, okay, they symbolically reject any form of attachment, ego and comforts of the physical world. So in a way it is kind of rejection of attachments, ego as well as comforts of the physical material world. Now another reason, in addition to what you have also said, is detachment from the body. Now in their philosophy, the body is considered as a temporary vessel for the soul. And therefore they believe that the soul's journey is independent of material as well as bodily possessions. Hence for them the body should not be a source of pride, vanity or attachment. Then another reason also is that Mavira, the 24th Tirthankara, after he had renounced the world, he practiced this non-wearing clothes after renouncing the world. And therefore the Digambara monks try to follow the example of this teacher, who is the most significant spiritual teacher in Jainism. And they believe that this path will lead them to ultimate purity and liberation. Yes? Yeah, in the sense it is just a kind of the body just is temporary in that sense. It is just a carrier of the soul. Then you also have purity. As clothing is seen a form of possession, okay, something that you own, we see that by wearing clothes, clothes become something that you own. They become your possession, and this can create attachment. Okay, and this attachment, according to them, can hinder the spiritual progress. So therefore, by giving up clothes, they live a life of non-possession. Okay, and this non-possession, are we familiar with it? Does it come somewhere? In Jainism, have we come across non-possession somewhere? Okay, so it is one of the 5 vows. Okay, so in alignment with that. Then you also have nudity, which is or not wearing clothes, seen as a kind of an austerity. Okay, and therefore they believe that by enduring hardships, so because when you do not wear clothes, your body is exposed to the harsh reality of the world. That means you have no protection against the cold, no protection against the rain, no protection against the heat. So by exposing yourself to certain hardships, okay, they can purify their soul and thus attain liberation. So therefore, this austerity is in a way meant to develop inner strength, discipline, as well as detachment. So another reason, which is not very significant, but we can also reflect on it, is rejection of social norms. That means you do not go by the way the world is going. You go away from the world. Because we see that by following social norms, one in a way can be distracted from the spiritual journey or the spiritual path. Okay, so we are all familiar with this, that you have certain vows, you have a particular goal in mind, but then because the world or because the current trend is something different, we tend to get distracted. So therefore, in a way, they reject social norms, and one of the ways of doing this is by not wearing the clothes. And so this act of defiance against social norms enforces their commitments to the spiritual ideals. Okay, so this is the reason why they do not wear clothes. Next, let's come to certain key beliefs and practices of the Digambara sect. So, for them, liberation is complete renunciation. That means only when you give up everything, okay, including your clothes, only then you can attain liberation. Next is the scriptures. When we were dealing with the scriptures, there was something that we said, right? One sect accepts the authority of the Angas, one does not. So which one does not accept? So we see that the Digambaras believe that the original scriptures, okay, of Jainism were lost over time, and therefore they do not accept the Angas which the Śvētāmbaras accept. They do not accept them as the authority, or they don't accept them as authentic. So they have secondary texts you have certain Prakrit commentaries and Shaktagama. So these are basically commentaries written by the monks, and these are the ones which they use to follow their spiritual practices. Now, when we speak about idols, we see that when you have idols of the Tirthankaras, they are always shown as seated in which posture? In a meditative posture. Also, they are generally shown as unclothed, which symbolizes renunciation. And therefore, you don't find any kind of ornaments or any extra artifacts on those idols, which once again aligns with the whole thing of non-attachment and total renunciation. So in Digambaras we see that the monks live a life of severe austerity. So therefore no possessions, so and they also live on alms, that is accepting food that is given without prior arrangement. In the sense, nothing is like, there is no arrangement done. Okay, today you give, tomorrow you give. It is in a way what we would call as reliant on God. So depending on the mercy that, okay, somebody will come, somebody will provide, we will be taken care of. So therefore they rely on alms that is given by people out of goodwill. So now within Digambaras also there are two subsections, okay, or two sub-sects as we may call them. One is the Bisapanthi, and then you have the Terapanthi sub-sects. So these ones will differ in rituals as well as practices. So, the main ideas, the main principles, the main things about discipline are the same, but here and there are few variations with regards to the following of certain rituals and practices. So we see that the Bisapanthi, they are a bit more traditional, whereas the Therapanthi is in a way kind of reformist, in the sense that they emphasize meditation plus inner purity over rituals. In the sense, that much focus is not there on austerity as you have with the Bisapanthi sect. So little bit more liberal. For them, meditation and inner purity is what is important. So then you have the Taranapanthi, which no worshipping of idols. No, these are in a way sub-sects. So 3 sub-sects. Okay, so you have Bisapanthi, Therapanthi and then Taranapanthi. So here we see that they emphasize scriptural study as well as teachings of their founder, who was Taran Swami. Okay, so there is no worshipping of idols over here. Then they focus entirely on scripture, on the Angas and the other 6 divisions of the scriptures, and the teachings of their founder Taran Swami. So in a way we can say that these subsects are kind of offshoots of the religion. Just as we also have so many sects in Christianity, similarly based on certain differences in practices, in beliefs, there are these subsects. So now we can move to the next main sect, that is Śvētāmbara sect. Exactly. Yeah. That is the scriptural, commentaries in that sense. I mean, commentaries. Yeah. Okay, so next we have the Śvētāmbara sect, and the first thing that comes to our mind is the white clothes that they wear. So this is worn by the monks as well as the nuns of this sect, and this is considered to be more liberal and less austere. Okay, so more liberal and less austere than the Digambara sect. So, some of the key beliefs and practices. First is very prominently white clothing. So, any reason why white clothing? What does it symbolize? Okay, so since white symbolizes purity, they wear simple white robes, which for them is a symbol of purity as well as non-attachment. So, when it comes to liberation, they believe that both men and women can achieve liberation. And for them, clothing doesn't hinder spiritual progress. When it comes to the scriptures, they believe that the original scriptures were preserved. And therefore they accept the Angas as the authentic teachings of Mahavira. Okay, so let's come back to this. So, idol worship, when it comes to the idols that are there, these idols are often clothed. And also it is said that they are adorned with certain ornaments, what we would call jewelry, etc. They also in various positions with eyes opened. And this openness of the eyes indicates the awareness of the world and the things that are happening around. Okay, so in a way, when you look at the two, you see that there is a subtle difference with regards to the rigor. Śvētāmbaras tend to be a bit more liberal, less austere. The same thing can be seen also in their monastic life. So in a way, asceticism is practiced, but it is more moderate. So when they speak about the vow of non-possession, we see that this vow of non-possession is practiced by using basic necessities, and clothing is one of them. So in a way, that strict austerity is not there when it comes to this sect. Now you also have subdivisions among the Śvētāmbaras also. So one is the Murti Pujaka. So as the name Murti suggests, what does it suggest? Okay, so here we see that there is idol worship in temples, and also they have elaborate rituals. And for them, this devotion, these rituals, in a way, are essential form of devotion. So they also wear white clothes. Next, we see that you have the Stanakvasi, which emerged as a kind of a reformist group from idol worship. And here they reject worshipping idols as well as temple rituals. Okay, so now what is mentioned here is only the ways in which they deviate. Other main practices they follow, but only there is a variation with regards to these things which I have mentioned over here. And then you have the Therapanthi. So before we finish, the Stanakavasi, they also focus on meditation and ethical living. And then you have the Therapanthi, which was founded by Acharya Bhikshu in the 18th century. And again, for them, emphasis is on simplicity, meditation, and moral discipline. So for them, there is no elaborate rituals, and the focus on inner purification of the soul. So in this way you can see that there is a slight kind of a deviation or slight kind of a variation from the main sect. So let's see some other sub-sects which are there.
This Theological is both a sect, like Śvētāmbara and Digambara.
Yeah, in a way we see that the name is similar, but then it comes in different sub-sects. Okay? Correct. Yeah, but only the variation is in the following. So then you have the Yapaniya sect, which is said to be extinct. So this was a small sect which combined elements of both the Digambara and the Śvētāmbara sect. So in a way it is said that in this sect they also practiced nudity or not wearing clothes, but at the same time there were exceptions made where people also wore white clothing. And they also accepted the authority of both scriptures. Yeah. In a way, if you look at this sect, it is more of a fusion of the two. Okay. The Yapaniya sect is more of a fusion of the two, because we see that they tend to borrow from both the sects. Then you have these two sects which we see here now, the Kharata Gacha and the Tapa Gacha. These two are subsects or further divisions of the Murti Pujaka tradition. So the first subsect that we saw, these are further divisions or further subsects of that subsect. Okay. So in a way, we see that in the Kharatara Gacha, the emphasis is on monastic discipline, and also it has a rich tradition of scriptural study. So a lot of emphasis is given on scriptures, whereas Tapa Gacha is known for the ascetic practices and focus on the Jain scriptures. Now, in today's class, the first image that we saw was about what? Covering the mouth. So, is there any reason why do you think they cover the mouth? Okay, that is one reason. Any other reason can we think of? One is microorganisms not entering and you are not killing them in that way. Any other reason? Okay, good. That means you are also in a way mindful of what you speak. So, kind of metaphorically, that cover is also acts as a purification of your words. Okay, symbolically. So, now we see that first and foremost, as you all rightly said, covering of the mouth is in a way to make sure that there is non-killing of microbes or any kind of virus or bacteria which is there in the air. So any tiny airborne organisms. So it is said that their belief is even when you inhale unintentionally these microorganisms, you are contributing to their death. Okay, and therefore this goes against the principle of non-violence. Hence, you take precautions to cover. If something goes even through that, then that is another aspect altogether. At least you have done your practice, you have done your part in preventing it. And also we see that another aspect of this is mindful speech. So as it was rightly said, also to make sure that you don't harm others through your words. So therefore this covering on the mouth can be seen symbolically as a purification of my words, purification of my speech. Because according to them, speech is a powerful tool that can cause harm to others. And therefore, there is a need to control one's words to prevent harm. Next, they also believe in purity of words, thoughts, and actions. Okay, and this helps them to, in a way, focus on their spiritual practices. Now, in this picture, apart from the covering of the face, is there something else that is seen? Okay, so we see a kind of a mopping stick over here. And is there any reason why do they carry that? They will, in a way, sweep or clean the path where they are walking. Okay, good. Is there any reason behind that based on what we have seen so far? Okay, good. That is preventing harm to any insects that are there on the way. Now we also see that, yeah, that is why we see, which is very important, is the broom that is used is not this kind of broom. Okay, it's a kind of a soft broom, which basically what you use for mopping, right? It is similar to that, as you have seen in the picture. So this broom is made from soft fibers. Okay, so these soft fibers make sure that, okay, and anything is not killed because of the hardness of the material. Okay, so it is just in a way to brush it aside. So this, again, as you have rightly said, practice is to make sure that they do not accidentally stamp on something, whether it is an ant, whether it is an worm, whether it is a small insect, causing harm or death to the insect. So in this way, this symbolizes extreme care and attentiveness to avoid non-violence. So also sweeping the floor provides or is a sign of mindfulness. And why is that? When you are constantly doing something, what happens to you? Habituated is one, but what would you fall asleep or would you get distracted when you're doing something? So in a way we see that this helps them to become present in the moment. Okay, so tomorrow we'll come back to this. Then also we'll take a look at the reasons why they pluck the hair. Okay, we'll take a look at that also. And if you all have certain other questions, we can also take a look at that. So we'll stop here for today. Thank you.